Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Ling, and I'm from Eat Vietnam team. I'm so happy to be here today in this workshop with 1INCH Network, and I will be the moderator of the workshop. And hello, Nick. Nick is the backend team lead from 1INCH, and he will be the speaker today and also the mentor for all of the Build-a-thon participants today. So welcome, Nick, to the workshop.
Hey, nice to meet you. Hi, everyone. Pretty happy to share so many people. We're going to talk about financial aggregation API and financial role. And I think I will start right now. Just let me turn the video and start sharing my screen. Just a second.
Nick, I'm so sorry. Before you start your presentation, I just want to let everyone a little bit warm up a little bit about the East Vietnam event and also the purpose of the workshop. So please spare me a few minutes.
Sure. No
Yes,
problem.
yes. So as you may know, that the workshop series is brought to you by East Vietnam event. And this is the first hub for blockchain community to build and learn together. And we aim to build a bridge between the global resources and the global entities with Vietnam's community, blockchain community. And we want to bring everyone together in with a mission to build and to contribute to the Web3 development in general. And that's the purpose of the East Vietnam event. And we welcome all of you, no matter where you are, you can join us this November from 25th to 27th in Ho Chi Minh City. Yeah, so I will say a little bit about Build-a-thon to 2022, as some of you may not know about this hackathon. So this is maybe the biggest hackathon in Vietnam until now, and it already started, but you can still submit your idea and your project on this hackathon. And the hackathon is, aims to empower the community and the builders to develop their projects on to contribute to the Ethereum to the Ethereum ecosystem. And the submission deadline of the buildathon is November 24th. So you have a lot of time to develop your project, to bring your ideas to life, and to have your idea receive a lot of attention from not only our very reputable sponsors, but also the mass audience from Vietnam and the world. We have up to 50,000 USD in reward and bounties from our 7 sponsors, and also $10,000 for quadratic funding from DoraHacks. This Build-a-thon is co-hosted by East Vietnam and DoraHacks. You can find more information on our, communication channels on Twitter or our website. And for the participants of Build-a-thon and also the audience, we want you to join our Discord. So please, if you are here and you joined the workshop, please scan this QR code and join our Discord community to stay updated about the latest information and update about Eat Vietnam event. So I will give you some seconds to scan the QR code and join our Discord. Okay, so thank you. As you may know that the workshop series before the event is compulsory for all the Build-a-thon participants, but we also bring you the privilege. If you join the workshop series, you will receive the NFT from POAP. And so we bring the QR code here. You can scan this QR code and get yourself an NFT from POAP. It's very easy if you scan the QR code and then you do some like answer some basic questions, then you will get the NFT. So please scan it now. This only, this is the only chance for participants of the workshop. So, take your time and scan the QR code. Please, you guys can also tell me if you are done scanning the code in the chat section. If if not, I will move to the next part of the workshop. Yeah, thanks. Have only some of you, yeah, done scanning. Okay, thank you all. So I'll move to the next part, which is the main part of this workshop. So Nick will bring you the. So I'm sorry. Let me make it slow. So Nick will be here hosting the event, and he will go through the topic today: 1-inch aggregation protocol API overview with you. Just a little reminder that if you have any question or you want to discuss with Nick, please feel free to raise your hand, and I will have you, you know, with the operation. Okay, so Nick, if you want to connect and talk with any of the participants, please feel free to let me know. So thank you so much, guys, and please welcome Nick from 1-inch team.
Thank you. Thank you. So let me just start sharing my screen so you can see my presentation and the slides. There's a small confirmation that everything is okay. And in like a couple of seconds, I will start, I think.
Okay, is that all okay now, Nick? Everyone can see your screen.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's start. Currently, I wanted to talk about 1-inch overall a bit and about our protocol overview. Basically, 1-inch was created on the hackathon as well. 1-inch was created like a couple of years ago at Ethereum New York at 2019. And currently, we do have like a couple of million of users. We have more than $300 billion of total volume available that was swapped through our API and through our interface. We share about 70% of aggregation market, and actually we are the first aggregation protocol on it. We do currently actually have several products, and 1-inch network right now is not only aggregation protocol, but also a limit order protocol, liquidity protocol. We do have our DAO, we do have our token, and of course we do have our 1-inch wallet that is available to the Android and Apple devices. And also we do have 1-inch Pro solution that actually is solution for institutionals. So currently 1-inch network is pretty large, and all these products are working together. I do recommend to try using our 1-inch wallet if you want to use our swaps, or like if you're like Prodify user, or even if you are a developer. Currently, I want to talk about aggregation protocol and explain you a bit what is it. And basically, the main idea of the aggregation protocol is to combine all the liquidity that is available on each chain and allow a user to swap any token, any asset to any other asset with the best rate on the market. That's pretty simple. And the whole idea overall is that it's very hard to use only one DEX. Doesn't matter how many liquidity is on it, because there are multiple DEXs. And each DEX have issues with the slippage if you're trying to swap pretty large amount of asset. And the only solution for that will be to try somehow to split your amount to several parts and swap it on multiple DEXs. I want to show how it works on our interface to be more like straightforward. let's imagine I want to swap, like, for example, 1000 Ethereum. If I will try to do it with only Uniswap, for example, or any other DEX, it will be much worse rate than I do currently have. The main idea behind it is actually that we split this amount into several parts and use multiple protocols for that inside. We do also use multiple tokens to allow you to actually have the largest return rate here. All of that is happening inside one transaction. So you do basically have pretty the same user experience as on any DEX like Uniswap. You just need to make one transaction, but your exchange rate will be much more higher than anywhere else. Just want to say that we do have open source analytics, and you can take a look how we actually how our performance on each chain, and according to like our analytics, we calculate our our market share basically. So let me continue. Currently, we basically support 10 Ethereum chains. It's the most popular, of course, is Ethereum, but we do support BNB chain, Polygon, Avalanche, Phantom, Arbitrum, Optimism, Gnosis chain, and Aurora network as well. And we are going forward. We will not stop on it, and I think we will support most of the EVM chains that have at least some liquidity on it. So let's take a look a bit on the aggregation protocol API and how it basically works. I just want to show you the scheme here. What basically you need to do. It's pretty easily actually. You do have two handles that must have handles here. Firstly, you need somehow to understand. Let's imagine you already have token like Ethereum token, for example, and you want to swap to 1INCH token. Let's imagine that case. So you need to understand what will be the quote, what will be the exchange rate for it, and to show it, for example, to anyone, to yourself, or to the user of your wallet, for example. So basically, for that one, you need to use quote handle, and if the quote handle will return price that will be okay for you, you need to call another handle that calls swap handle. If the price is not okay, you just need to actually try again, wait a bit, maybe adjust some parameters. I will discuss which parameters a bit later. Let's imagine that the price is okay, the quote is okay for you, and you want to swap. After that, you will call the swap handle with some additional parameters as well, and you will get a call data. Actually, this call data is specific data that you need to put into transaction to the blockchain. So you basically need to build a transaction on that step based on the data that you will get from the swap API. And after that, you'll need to make like EVM transaction on the chain. For example, on the Ethereum chain, you need to use 1INCH router as address 2 for this transaction and call data for the data from the contract for the swap from the swap router. And all this data goes actually to the 1INCH router that actually is deployed on chain. Want to talk a bit about 1INCH router and what is it? Basically, we use 1INCH router to execute all the transactions on aggregation API. So it's a pretty well optimized router that allows you to swap any token to any other token with the lowest gas possible. We do currently allow you to swap only, for example, on Uniswap v3, and it will be even cheaper than just use Uniswap v3 directly. So basically, even if you have pretty small amount of assets, like a couple of dollars, it will be still less expensive to compare it to Uniswap v3 if you'll use it directly. Our router is pretty well optimized, and currently we are working on v5 version that will be even more optimized than anything on the market currently. Also, our router is audited by more than 7 companies, and we don't have any cases of any vulnerabilities. we take care of all security, and we never release anything that is not audited by several companies as well. But of course, you have to understand the risks that you have. Currently, let's talk a bit more about how basically you need to use aggregation protocol handles, quote and swap, that you need to actually make any swap from the API side, on the API side, not from the front end side. I will give you a couple of seconds if you want to scan the QR code. Basically, you can try these handles a bit later on your own. Just want to say that our API is open and public and free for everyone who is using it. We do also support and allow companies that needs more requests per second, need more limits. We allow them to have enterprise API. It's also possible to get it on like you just need to fill the form if you need it and contact us about that. So I hope everyone scanned the QR code if you need it. And basically you can see all the information on our website, just in the developers portal about documentation. Let me actually go there and show it together with you. So you need to go to the API tab, to the Swagger tab, and you can see here multiple chains. You can use any Swagger to any of it to try it out. I will be trying everything on Ethereum currently. So basically we do need to speak, I really want to speak about the most important handles. It's swap handles. It's this one. And let's start with the quote. Basically you can execute transaction. You can execute any request even right now, I think. And as you see, it's pretty easy to execute it. Basically, the main idea is that you don't need a lot of parameters to start working with it. But I want to tell more about all of them because it's the most important part, and it's the details that you potentially will need if you will make some complex integration. So basically, I want to talk about three most required parameters. It's pretty basic. It's from token address, to token address, and the amount in the way. Basically, that's the most important parameters. You can't swap without them. It can be any ERC20 token that we do support or that is available on Ethereum chain. Just want to say that if you're trying to swap some low liquidity tokens, it can be not working, especially if it's this token supports commission fee. It maybe requires you to set up to switch some parameters to adjust them for that. And the less liquidity token have, the more problematic it will be to swap it. The less return rate it can be potentially available for you. So basically, let's talk about additional parameters like protocols. This parameter actually by default is all. And the main idea of this parameter that it allows you to pass specific protocols for the aggregation API. Let's imagine the case that you do not want to swap on specific protocol. For example, I do not want to use Uniswap v3 for some reason, like for example for compliance reason or for any other reason. And we do allow you to specify all the protocols that they are also available through additional handle if you want to see all of them for each chain. Basically, it's pretty the same as we do have on our front end side. If you will go to our front end, you can also turn off some specific protocols if you do need it. So basically, it's the same functionality as you do here right now. Sometimes it depends on the case, but sometimes it can be not working for some protocols if the token is pretty custom. So yeah, just want to mention this parameter. Sorry. Basically, one of the most important parameters for you can be a fee parameter. Actually, it allows you to we do have a referral program from our users, and the fee parameter allows you to specify the fee from 0 to 3%. that will be going to you to a specific wallet that you will specify as well. We do earn fee on positive slippage that user will execute. So let's imagine if you are swapping 100 Ethereum to, like, let's imagine 1 million DAI, and it will be not 1 million DAI when transaction will be executed. It will be like 1,100,000 DAI. In this case, you will have a positive slippage, like $100,000, for example, and this positive slippage goes to the 1inch DAO and will be split between 1inch DAO, like token holders, the team, and the 1inch DAO decides how it works, and some part of it will goes to the referral partner, and you can specify percent of it here. And the maximum percent of the fee will be 3%. If you will not specify the fee, or if you will not specify the address of the receiver, it will be 0. Basically, there is another parameter called connector tokens. Actually, it allows you to specify some additional connectors. It can be very crucial. I will show you from example of connector tokens on this swap. Let's imagine you want to swap DAI to the Aave token. And in this case, the connector tokens will be USDC and Ethereum. Basically, depends on the liquidity on some tokens. You'll need to specify them specifically. Let's imagine it's a low liquidity token that have a pair with another low liquidity token. In this case, if you want to have the best rate, you need to specify the pair of the low liquidity token. So our aggregation API and our protocol can search for it and route the swap through this pool. By default, we do support most popular connector tokens, most liquid one, but in some cases it will be not working efficiently. So you will need to adjust that. And of course, we do have another handle. It's gas price. It's pretty default one for everything. Just want to say that we adjust our protocol, our API, and all the parameters and return. It depends on the gas price. For example, in some cases, you don't want to swap with very high gas, and we can adjust that. Let's imagine you want to swap a very small amount of assets, like estimated to like to then $10. Of course, you don't want to pay like $20 for $10 swap, and depends on the amount that you are swapping, and depends on your own like desire. You can specify different gas price. I do want to talk about complexity level parameter as well. You can see it on the example. Basically, complexity level allows you to specify how many splits can go through during the swap. Actually, it's the level of depth of the swap path. Currently, as you can see, there are 2 levels of the complexity level. And if you will specify, for example, 0, it will be direct swap. So in this case, it will be just DAI to the Aave. And just want to say that if you have a very low complexity level, of course, you will have less expensive transaction. You will pay less for the gas because it will be less operations. And of course, if you have the highest complexity level that is free, you will pay more. Basically, it also depends on the chain. It also depends on the token's path. Sometimes if you specify complexity level 3, that doesn't mean that we will always have complexity. There is another parameter called main road parts, and it's very easy. Actually, it's not that easy to explain it. I tried to visualize it, like to get some basic understanding of it. By default, main road parts is set to 5, but it can. It's set to 10. In this case, it's set to the 5, and the max will be 50. So what is it? basically each time we are trying to calculate the best return rate from the amount that you set, 1inch Pathfinder algorithm is trying to split this sum that you entered, this sum of this amount, into several parts. And in this case, the maximum amount of splits will be about 5. So basically, minor part is just max amount of splits by subpaths. Yes, kind of it. And but it's only the start. I do recommend actually to use it as a default one, but if you want to pay less for the gas, it can be sometimes more efficient to have some constraints like 5. It depends on the chain and on the amount of the from token as well. But if you're going to swap pretty large amount of money, like pretty large amount of sum, I do recommend you to specify it a bit higher. But just want to mention that actually if you specify it too high, the return latency of the API will be higher as well, because we need to make more calculations and more estimations on it. So you just need to have this trade-off in your head. Just to keep in mind that it's a small trade-off between amount of the road parts and the efficiency of the protocol. But actually that's not enough. We actually do not only split it by parts, we split parts to another subparts. And basically you can specify how many subparts of the splits you will have as well. Currently, in this case, it's 5 for each case, but it can be up to 100. And basic idea here is the same. Basic concept is the same as on the main node parts. The higher limit you have, the higher like latency you will have as well, and the more it will be cost, and the more it will be cost to the user to pay for the transaction. But if it will be too low, you will have less return rate, of course. Okay, basically, actually, we discussed all the parameters for the quote handle, and currently, I don't want to talk about swap handle a bit. So let's imagine on the step that actually I executed the quote handle with these parameters, and everything else is on the default one, and I do have this response. Actually, I see here a token amount and the fruit token amount, and actually the protocols that we'll be using here, estimated gas. Just want to say, I forgot a bit, that we do support actually gasless approvals. We do support EAP to 2612 that allows you actually to make approve a permission to swap token without paying for gas on it. But it depends on token. Okay, so let's imagine I am okay with this quote. I'm okay with the return amount that I will have, and currently I do want to execute the real swap, and for that one, I do need to actually use a swap handle to make call data, to build the call data, and there is a small difference here. As you can see, there is much more additional parameters that are required for it. It's two more. We have the same from token address to token address and amount, but I do need right now from address. It's actually address that will be calling the 1inch contract. In basic cases, it's just user, for example, address of my MetaMask account that will be executing the swap. But in some custom cases, you can specify it as just another smart contract. And also, you do need to specify the slippage. It's pretty important parameter that I will discuss a bit later as well. So let's talk about slippage parameter as one of the obligatory and most important parameters. So basically, what is it? Slippage allows you to specify like how many percents you are okay to lose during the swap process, based on the estimation that you will have on your screen. Let's imagine we have this case when I'm trying to swap 2000 DAI to some Ethereum. And if I will specify slippage like 49%, that basically means that if the price goes 49% less than you see on the estimation, it will be still okay for you to have it. Actually, it's very dangerous, and I do not recommend to specify slippage like that, because you can lose a lot of money because of the front run bots. And if you are trying to specify high slippage, I do recommend you to use some private pools to execute transaction, or to use MIF bots like flash bots to execute transaction as well. So nobody will front run you in this case. It will be really dangerous to use it only with public API, like public nodes. You will definitely will be like front run in this case, or the probability will be pretty high for it. So why you don't need to specify the slippage tolerance like 0% or 0.1%? Why it's not always the same? Why it's not always 0.1%? What's the point of it? The main problem here that during the conditions of the market that are rapidly changing all the time, if you will specify too low slippage, and it will be not too much liquidity on the market, your rate, or the market will be pretty fast. Your rate can be changed dramatically during the swap, because when you are making a swap, that doesn't mean that everything executed instantly. The transaction will be waiting in the meme pool for some time, and during this amount of time, the rate can be changing a lot, and sometimes you can and if it will be changing too much, and you will have pretty low slippage, your transaction will be reverted, because the return amount will be like too low, for example, than you expected. Basically, we do have some slippage by default. It's pretty dynamic parameters and depends on the token pair that we do set up for it. So you can take a look how we doing it on our front-end side to understand how we estimate the slippage. I do recommend to have it about 1%, like in some cases. In some stablecoin cases, it can be 0.1%. It also depends on the liquidity of the stablecoin. And just keep in mind that it's one of the most important parameters, and you do need to think how to specify it for a specific pair. It depends on the case and on the analytics and on the chain ID as well. So basically, yeah, you can also specify the slippage parameter, for example, on our front-end side. By default, right now, it's like 0.5% in this case, but you can adjust it to any other percent up to 49%. In some cases, if it's low liquidity tokens, the only option for you to swap can be like up to 49%. So, okay, let's talk about destination receiver parameter and some additional parameters as well. Destination receiver is basically will be from address that you're using right now. So you can actually specify the address that will receive the funds after the swap. So in the case about swapping DAI to wrapped Ethereum, if you'll specify a different address, I will receive wrapped Ethereum to another address, for example, to my another wallet. There are some reasons why I want to do this. For example, I want to swap specific sum and send it directly to my friend. If you will not specify it, it will be your wallet, of course. And one of the more important parameters, it's refer address. It's, of course, empty by default. If you specify a specific fee in the quote, we need to specify this address on the swap as well. So basically, it just address that will receive the fee of the positive slippage of the users that will be swapping for it. Yeah, so that's it. As I told you before, we do support permits, and basically you just need to specify this. If there are some tokens that do not support pyramids, it depends on the token. But if it do support the pyramids, you want to use it. You need to pass the pyramid signature to the in this handle in this case for this query parameter. We do also use gas limit. Actually, you can specify amount okay to spend for the gas. And of course, it's useful for optimization. Sometimes you don't want to pay too much for the gas. And our alga is adjustable to any like gas limits that you will specify. Depends on the case. There is another pretty important parameter that called allow partial fill. It will be easier to see it as a visualized parameter. Let's imagine you have very complex swap and you are swapping like pretty a lot of money in the one case. And the most important for you is just swap for something with some good rate. Let's imagine you're okay to swap like 90% of your swap, but what if just 10% of the swap will be not okay? But you want to have the same rate. Using allow partial fill, you can actually execute the transaction and get about 90% of the sum executed with this rate that you specify, with a good rate. And let's imagine the last path with the 10% will be not executed because of some changes in the liquidity. And in this case, this amount will be returned to your wallet. So this 10% of the DAI will be returned to your wallet, but everything else, like 90% of DAI, will be swapped to the wrapped Ethereum in this case. So you just have option to specify it as like true or false. Basically, that's it. There is another important parameter called disable estimate. It's pretty important if you're trying to use 1INCH aggregation protocol through another smart contract. For example, you have your own router for some reason. Let's imagine it will be the bridge. And if you will specify it as a true, it allows us to give you a swap data without any estimation of the transaction. For example, we do need to check, when we estimate a transaction, we need to check the balance, for example, of this address or kind of some other stuff. And if you don't need this and you're okay with that, if you're doing some custom logic, you can disable estimate and we will give you return data. Without it, it will be not working. So basically, that's it about our parameters. That's it about swap parameter and the query parameter. Basically, that's the most important part currently, and I will be happy to answer any of your questions about it right now. I just want to say that we do have more examples in the API on the API. We do also have a GitHub, and you can take a look how it's executed. And just want also to say that we do have a limit order protocol that is also allows you to execute some additional features on it. And on the hackathon, we do have limit order protocol and aggregation protocol as the main protocols that you need to use if you want to get some nominations from us. And I will be telling about limit order protocol on a physical workshop Ethereum Vietnam, I think a bit soon, or in this month. So we'll be happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nick, for your in-depth sharing with the audience. So, do you have any questions? Like, if you have question, please raise your hand. I think maybe they are a little bit shy. So
that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, so we don't really receive any question yet. But hey, Nick, I received a lot of feedback from the team members of Buidathon that they want to connect directly with you on Discord or any other possible channel. So as we
Yeah, I will be available on.
yes, we also call them to join Discord. So you can join Discord also and answer the questions from Buildathon teams there.
Sure. I will be available on the Discord. I'm sorry for that. I just was offline for these days because of the some issues from on my side. I do have another event happening right now, but I think I will be more open right now, more available during after this day. So yeah, I will
Yeah,
be happy to answer all your questions on the Discord, and some members of our team as well will help you as well, I think.
cool. Oh, I have one participant raising their hand here. So yeah, let's see. Oh, he or she stops raising hand. I don't know
That's
what it
okay.
is, but
That's okay.
anyway, Nick, I want to ask you a few questions like
Sure.
about the Billathon and also the bounties from 1INCH Network. So what is the biggest benefit of participants in this Billathon and also in joining the bounties of 1INCH Network?
Um, I think I can say that our nominations will be maybe a lot pretty tough and pretty hard to implement. And but basically, if you are okay and if you're working on it, um, it's one of the all of the nominations are just not random nominations. They are pretty important, and all of them can be potential business that you can run on your site. It can be like unicorn level business as well. And we do see that if you even start working on it, and if you will start work on each API, there are like a lot of ways how you can monetize it, how you can earn money from it. I just will give you some examples. Let's imagine you want to use aggregation API as an arbitrage bot, and you can arbitrage between like DEXs and SEXs, searching for some liquidity issues and optimize it. There are like dozens of arbitrage bots. You can take a look on the articles, and there are a lot of user arbitrage bots that use 1inch. It's not yet a finished market. You can work on it. You just need to search on the arbitrage opportunities, and it's pretty. You can just start to earn from the first day, from day one, and you just don't need to take care of searching for the best trades on the market. We do everything for you, and we provide everything for free. So basically, I think that if you want to trade, if you want to set up your like work and make it like trade like pretty profitable business based on the DeFi, if you want to start working on the DeFi like as a professional, like for example as a software developer, as a professional trader, I think it's one of the best options for you to take a look on the 1inch API. It's just one of the best start. And if you also want to make like a profitable startup and you have a good technical skills, but have lacks of ideas, you can just try to implement like some our nominations. If you will be okay with our API, with our limit order API, with our aggregation API, I do believe that actually you will never have any difficulties after that. You can be like pretty good software developer that you can be easily hired any place if you want, or like build any other company, any other software, or like any other project without any difficulties. So from my point of view, like participation in our nominations and participate like trying to learn about our API will allow you to have really good skills if you will understand it. That can be even not only useful but easier to drive. Like will push you to a higher level, much more higher level. That allows you to be hired to almost any DeFi company if you want, for example. So I think it's like that.
Okay, yes. Thank you for, very detailed answers. So we have a few questions here in the chat section.
Sure.
I'll pick some of them for you. So the first one is, will you join the event in Ho Chi Minh City? You can
Sure,
read.
I will join it. Waiting for it.
Yeah. So we will be meeting you in this event, right?
Yes.
Yeah, nice. Cool. And the next question on from a YouTube member, like if we have our D app and we want to give a swap function inside it for our custom ERC20 token, then how it can be done using 1inch.
Basically, you just need to use aggregation API call. You just need to specify this token address. It doesn't matter, is it not available on our token list? If this token don't have any internal commission, you can basically just pass it to the API and that's it. Yeah, if you, of course, you need to have this token deployed on the networks that are available on these chains that we do support. So it must be some chain that we do support, of course, as well. But you don't have actually to think a lot about it. Like if it doesn't matter, is it custom or not? The only issue and potential issue that you can have, it's internal commissions with this token. If you have an internal commission fee in the token, I do recommend you to actually maybe to make a wrap of this token. It's pretty easy to implement if you just need to swap any internal commission fee. Using an internal commission fee token, you can just make a wrap ERC20 of this token without any commission and use it for 1inch API. In this way, you just need to specify connector token for that, for the liquidity pool where you see it. Sometimes there are cases that when we can search for the good liquidity pool with this custom token. If it's very custom, it's very low liquidity token. In this case, you just, if you know about this pool that it's existing, you can just need to specify the tokens in this pool as a connector tokens for the algo.
Yes, here he's answering here. Like, do we need to maintain the pool as well? The LP pool.
No, it's like basically you can, for example, just make Uniswap V2 pool if you do not care about it a lot. It depends on the liquidity pool. You don't need to maintain it. We do have our own liquidity pool, but currently it's a bit outdated. So I mostly recommend you to use, I think, Uniswap in this case if you want to provide liquidity. I think it will be the most easiest case for the start. And in the like later, if your token is having enough liquidity, it will be also some liquidity providers will also participate.
Yes, thanks. So Rawat, right? Am I spelling your name right? Rawat. He's the one who asked the question. Yes. So I think we will move to the next question. And if Rawat, you have more concerns and you want to, get advice from Nick, please join our Discord and ask your questions there. Nick will be there to
Sure.
answer you. Yes. So the next question is like, do you have any special advice for Build-a-thon candidates?
I think I just want to recommend to not to give up and try to do something. Like doesn't matter on your skill, on your like level of experience. If you're even the beginner, it doesn't matter. I think I do participate on my own a lot on the hackathons, and actually that's how I got to the 1inch. I was working with the founders of 1inch at the hackathons, and on the first hackathons I was really bad experience. But you just need not to give up and try to do as much as you can. And it's one of the best way how you can grow as a developer, I think. So I just want to say that basically it's pretty basic, but it's just basic advice, but I do recommend you just to to focus on the hackathon during the hackathon. Try not to defocus, rebalance, try to not do multiple things. Try to make something at least. And the most important on the hackathon, on the nomination, on any nomination that you are working on, for example, on the 1inch nomination, if you can't, usually on the hackathon, you can't build everything. For example, if you are building some app, it's impossible to build like front end, back end, to make a domain, to make everything. So it's just like, it's almost impossible on any hackathon without like a really large team. So I do recommend you to try to focus on the most important things and the most crucial things for your app, for example. If it's like DeFi hackathon, for example, I think one of the most crucial things it's the logic with the blockchain, the logic with API, for example, or with the smart contract that we are working on. For example, if you're writing some smart contract, just try to write this smart contract and implement some basic tests, some use cases in the tests. And if you have pretty good smart contract and pretty good idea, even if you don't have a front end, for example, but you do have use cases, it will be more than enough to win the hackathon. Everyone understands that it's impossible to make everything, like to build a good interface. Just I do recommend you to focus on the stuff that it's more crucial in the case of the Web3. So for example, if you're a designer just and you want to participate as like in a hackathon, maybe the design will be crucial as well. But in this case, you just need to have an idea that will be like revolutionary Web3 idea from the design aspect. I think so.
Yes. So, the main criteria of the hackathon is, the creative idea from the participants, right? So it doesn't need to be like fully developed
Sure.
product.
Yes, yeah, I think it's almost impossible actually to make it fully developed. Like I have never seen almost any product that was actually fully finished during the hackathon. There are some cases when people just use one product and add additional features on it, like saying that it's like we make something new and this is like the hour of hackathon, we just add some additional features. It's also okay, but if you're doing something like this, I do recommend you to specify very strict what you did on the hackathon and what you didn't do on the hackathon, what was like the basic idea and how you developed it on the hackathon. So it's really important to actually explain, I think, to the jury what you was doing on the hackathon from the technical side. If, for example, doing too much, for example, let's imagine I will show you like 1INCH as a hackathon project, like, and it's like 20 protocols, like 100 services. If you will not explain, for example, that I just add a small feature to the 1INCH that actually solves some problem, you will say like it's impossible to make everything on the hackathon. You will not understand what I did on the hackathon, what not. So I do recommend you to specify what you actually did on it. Even if it's okay to have like really large project on the behind as a fork, for example, as a base, but just focus on like try to make it clear to the people who are trying to like get if you want to get a feedback. It's really the most important thing that I see on the hackathons, the most important pain that a lot of hackers have. I got it as well, and I think it's the feedback, it's the communication part of the hackathon, because most of us are actually developers. Uh, I cannot say for everyone, but sometimes we have some communication issues. It's the most common problem. So just try to ensure that the person who are talking with, this person really understands what you are talking about. It's okay to say something several times. It's okay to try to say it with very simple things. It's okay to visualize it somehow. It's really the most important part is just trying to be as much easy to understanding as possible. You need to ensure that this person understands you, understands what you are doing and what is the problem of this like you are solving right now. That's I think the most important, because there are a lot of cases when people trying to do something complex and they can't explain what they are doing, and that's like how you can lose any hackathon actually. How you can just like get a bad feedback just if like have an issue with explaining yourself. So if you have a team, for example, on the hackathon, I do recommend you to have at least one member of the team who will take a sleep before the last day, and this member needs to focus on the idea how to explain everything in a good way. Like it can be some person from the business, for example, maybe some person who actually likes to talk more in your team. Anyone who actually will be focusing just on explaining what you're doing. I think it's really crucial, and you need to think about it as one of the most important parts from the hackathon. It's the idea, how to explain this idea.
Yes.
Of course, if you, yeah, sorry.
Yes, please continue.
Of course, it's matter only if you can implement this idea. Like you always need to show something, of course, but after you did something, just don't forget about explaining what you did.
Yeah, sure. So in short, like no matter how complicated the product you are building, you have to keep it really simple and easy to understand for the presentation, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll move to the next question, and thank you, Nick, for a very insightful advice for the audience. The next question is for simple apps just interested in swapping to another asset as quickly as possible. Do 1inch have a game SDK like Unity for easy integration?
We do need specific game SDK for Unity right now. It will be potentially good idea for the grant program or like for the hackathon actually. Uh, so yes, right now we don't have it. So, but if you want to make a wrapper, or if you want to make a project for Unity and UC is a very important case. We do. I just want to say that we do have 1inch grant program, and for all the hackers who maybe will not have some nominations in this case, just don't give up if you have project and if you want to continue. Uh, we try to support as many hackers as possible, as many projects as possible, and you can apply to our 1inch grant program on our website as well. Yeah. So in case of the answering about game SDK, we don't have it yet. But if you mind to like if you want to make it, I think it's a very good idea for the hackathon and maybe for the grant as well.
Yes. Yeah. So I think they get their very you know good answer from you. Maybe if they have any further concerns, they will ask you in Discord. And
Sure, we'll be happy to answer.
I think PAR, the participants are very, very, you know, want to ask you a lot of questions, and they are very interested in joining the build-a-thon and connecting with you specifically. So we move to the next question, which is do oh here. No. Yes, here. Does 1inch have any affiliate programs? What are the benefits of integrating 1inch system into our application?
We do have referral program for the company, like for any entity who wants to integrate 1inch. Currently, it's just direct fee and referral fee for each swap. So you can specify a percent fee for each swap on your side during API integration. As actually I showed, it's called fee and referral address. You just need to specify these parameters. Basically, you need to specify address that will receive the fee. And but just want to say that in the case of the fee, it's only fee from the positive slippage. Basically means that it not occurs all the time. So it depends time on it just occurs randomly. But the more swaps you have and the more like extreme and the more active market conditions you have, the more positive slippage you will get and the more fee you will earn. So it's a lot of like one of the most stable things. But yes, we do have a fee for all partners. So basically, you can just integrate our API and earn with it. I think one of the main reasons why you can integrate on each API and what's the point to do this, I think it's that actually we do solve the issue with swapping any token to any other token with the like we do it the best on the market. We solve it as one of the best on the market. We do have one of the most easiest API to integrate on the market as well. It's completely free from our side. So basically, you just gives your users additional value to swap any token to any other token with the best rate. You don't need to focus on to think how you can swap it on somewhere else. You don't need to like aggregate multiple dexes, try to compare it. It's a lot of resources. It's a lot of computing resources, and it's a lot of danger. It's pretty dangerous if you don't pay for the audits. And in our case, we just give you like a free API with audited contracts. So you just need to use it, and that's it, and you will have not any issues. I think it's like for example, if you will take a look on MetaMask, for example, like as our partner or like Trust Wallet, all these great wallets. using our API as well to allow users to get the best price on the market, and they don't need to care and to implement it on their own. It's pretty expensive stuff. It's pretty painful to do all of that on your side only. So I think that if you have any swap, any case when you need to swap like any asset to any other asset, 1inch API and 1inch like integration of 1inch API to your product will be just a pretty good game changer. It just allows your users to save more money, to get better, to get more money on each in each case, and pay as less as possible fees for that, in like network fees. I mean,
Yeah. Thank you, Nick.
welcome.
Yes. I think it's quite, insightful and very interesting section here today. And maybe we are moving close to the deadline, the submission deadline of the build-a-thon. So I think that there will be more questions in from the audience and from the participants for you and for other mentors of the event. So I think if we don't have like any other questions here today, so let's call it a
Just,
day. And do you have any other message or other things you want to share with the participants?
just want to say that just want to to specify more like about feedback about the question of the hammer about custom ERC20 token for swap. Actually, we do have on each widget, like the web widget that you can actually inject into your website if you want to, and you can also make a custom URL source to your specific token to the 1inch. So basically, for example, you have a custom ERC20 token, and you want users to send a link them so they can go to 1inch and swap these ERC20 tokens to some other tokens directly. Actually, you can use URL and the build and specify parameters for the each token to swap, and just share this URL to anyone, and they can have exact route to this pair. Basically, you can just it's just magic of URL links. Uh, for that, you just basically need to take a look on our website. It's just take a look on the URL, and we do have this information in our documentation portal as well. Yeah, just want to add more details about this issue. Maybe I take it Frank firstly. I think I just want to say that I wish you good luck, and I wish you to build something really good. And I think that I hope that I see here a lot of great people who actually will build a lot of great projects soon, and maybe in a couple of years we will also co-host like sponsor hackathons, and we can make it together. So as unicorn projects, just want to say that like I think the hackathons one is one of the best ways of the networking for the developers, and one of the best ways how you can grow, and how you can actually understand something more than doing it on your own. Just don't afraid to push yourself. Don't afraid to like that you don't implement something or you'll make a mistake. Uh, I do recommend you to ask as much questions as you can. Even if it's like if you think that it's bad question, it doesn't matter. Just it's much more better to ask something than think on your own and have some misleading information because of that. So I think yes, just try to be as active as possible. Ask as much questions as possible. I think it's one of the best way how you can grow, and it doesn't matter on which how many experience you do have. That's like I think a basic thing that I want to say.
Yes. Thanks again, Nick. I say that a lot, but I have to say that again because
Thank you.
I think you provide a lot of needed information for the participants today. And I think they have a quite good section with you here today. And just a little bit more information before we close this workshop, that we will have a series of 5 workshops preparing for the build-a-thon, and also we open these workshops for public audience as well. So all of you can join this workshop if you are devs or you are blockchain builders from anywhere in this world. And we welcome all of you to submit your projects on in our Buildathon 2022. And we welcome all of you to join our events in Ho Chi Minh City. So yes, that's all for today. And thank you, Nick from 1INCH, for
Thank you for the hosting.
participating. And yes, thank you so much. So that's all for today. Thank you, all of you, for being here today. And if you have any other questions, Nick will be in Discord to answer all of them. So please feel free to reach out. Yes,
Thank you for your time.
all for today. Thank you, Nick.
Goodbye.
See you in Ho Chi Minh City. Goodbye, Nick.
See you.
Yes, bye bye. Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for joining. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.